I don't need a fucking cosigner to post rhymes for controversy. I'm calculated, your validation does not concern me. You created a character you can market, but I'm sharp enough to sharpen my view. Whenever you charge him, I can...
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This your host with the most, here to brag and boast, Taylor Loose Cannon Adams. Right now, we here to let you know that the blunt is now in session. This is what we smoking on right now. This is what we smoking today. This is what got me smoking right now. We smoking in celebration today. We smoking, we putting one in the air right now for none other than the man right here who's on the book, Kobe Bean Bryant. Excuse me for that, Kobe Bean Bryant. Yeah. Man, I know we probably done seen all the documentaries. I know we probably done read a lot. Probably a lot of stuff was speculated. Probably a lot of stuff was said, but we here to honor this man today. I told everybody that I would make a Kobe episode on today is August 24th. Even though yesterday was his birthday, you know, we celebrated the Mamba by remembering him in his good grace and remember him in basketball. Everybody that was a fan of basketball loved this man. Whether if you was a Lakers fan from east to west, you had to respect what this man did on the court. You had to respect what he contributed. But we're going to take you back to where it all started. We're going to hit the rewind button. We hitting the rewind button all the way back to August 23rd, 1978, when Kobe Bean Bryant was born in Philly. He was born to Joe and Pam Bryant. Joe himself was a pro ball player. So if you really think about it, basketball was already in his DNA. It was basically already designed for what his lifelong goal and game plan in life was to do. But talking about Joe played for the 76ers. He played for the San Diego Clippers, the then San Diego Clippers, and the Houston Rockets. 7 teams in Italy and 1 in France. He was in the 1975 draft. He went the first round with the 14th pick. He came out of LaSalle University. So Kobe spent most of his life, most of his, adolescence upbringing over there in Italy, where he learned to love and appreciate the game. He stated in a couple of interviews that he was inspired by watching the home videos of all the NBA greats, whether if it was, the bloopers and the Michael Jordan Come Fly With Me or his airness videos. You'll see throughout the process of this episode where he was really inspired and really, he took a liking into Michael Jordan. That's who he molded his game after. He was basically the second him in the way in which we'll get down to that later down the road. We already wrapped up his dad, but also, I just also want to put his dad highlights out there. 606 games played, 21 minutes, 8.7 points. He was a 45% field goal shooter, averaged 4 rebounds, 1 assist. That was his career average. But we're going to fast forward a little bit to when Kobe came to the States. Went back to the Philadelphia area. I know a lot of people, from Philly probably didn't claim him like, oh, he went to Lower Merion or whatever the case may be. He represented y'all. He was an Eagles fan. He was Philly himself, even though he wound up getting booed, and I think that was the 2002 All-Star game. He felt some type of way about that, and so ever since he's been trying to put a dagger in the 76ers' heart. But we'll get back to that later. But his high school stats, he was with Parade Magazine, 4th-team All-American in 1995, excuse me. Parade Magazine, 1st-team All-American in 1996. He was the Naismith Prep Player of the Year in 1996. McDonald's All-American in 1996. Also in 1996, he made his announcement saying that he was going to the NBA. He was skipping college. Now, also read somewhere that had he went to college, he would have chose Duke, which is my college team, and I would have loved to have seen him play. Also wanted to throw this out there, because I'm from Erie, PA. Shout outs to everybody that's doing it. On March 23rd, 1996, Lower Merion beat Cathedral Prep 48-43 in the PIAA Class 4A title game at Hershey Park Arena. It was in front of 70,000 people. I mean, not 70,000. I don't even know if that shit could fit. Anyway, no diss. 7,000 people. He had 17 points. After the game, he spoke to an Erie reporter. If you was that Erie reporter, please get in touch with me. If you was an Erie player, if you played for Prep at that time, please get in touch with me. I'd love to sit down with you, pick your brain. What was you thinking about Kobe at that time when you were playing him? After that game, Kobe said he loves to play teams like Chester and Cathedral Prep because he said he loves the pressure. Little off note a little bit, I want to give a shout out to, there's a lot of people that don't know that there's a lot of ballers that come from PA. A lot of people that went to the league, a lot of people that really excelled in the league, not just Kobe. There's Jameer Nelson, and there's also Richard Rip Hamilton from Coatesville. So I just wanted to throw that out there too. Now we heading into basically his NBA life. Now, Kobe was the 13th overall pick to the Charlotte Hornets. But they finagled the dangle and made a trade. Got Vlade Divac up out of there, thank God, because I ain't never liked him. But in that process, they also wound up getting Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq Diesel, from the Orlando Magic, which was a good pickup to this upcoming Lakers team. Now, in that draft is real interesting. 1996 is regarded as one of the best drafts ever in NBA history. Is real arguable. Most people might say 2003, that was a good draft. Most people might say 1984, that was a good draft. But to me personally, you can see a changing of the guard come 1996. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things was changing, not just in sports-wise, but in music-wise too. I also have to throw this out there. 1996 was a good year for some good albums. You had Tupac's All Eyes on Me, which was the first double disc. You had Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. You had Nas's It Was Written. You had the Fugees' The Score. If I'm missing anything else, please let me know later on. And it was also a mourning time too, because at that time, even though he dropped All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli, Tupac Shakur died. So that was just a big shift, a big change into the world. And it's crazy because as he was basically making his transition out of life and out of LA, that's when Kobe was making his transition into LA. It's weird how things work out. But in that 1996 draft class, I do got to note, Kobe, at that time they said Kobe, he was the best high school player in that draft, meaning him and Jermaine O'Neal was also in that draft. Jermaine O'Neal came from high school, but he wasn't the best player. They listed a lot of people above and better than Kobe, and these were just some of the people that was picked before him. Number one pick, Philadelphia 76ers. They picked AI, Allen Iverson, the answer. They picked, also picked before Kobe was Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Stephon Marbury, Ray Allen, Antoine Walker, and Kerry Kittles. All turned out to be good players. Also want to throw in there in that draft 1996, you also had Derek Fisher, who got all 5 of his championship rings with Kobe. You had a Judas Agauskas, which he was all right whenever LeBron was around. I'm going to just put it like that. Yeah, I'm throwing shots. But, like I said, that draft class, it has its arguments about why they could be the best. You also got to put out there that Ben Wallace, he was undrafted, but technically he would still be a part of that class. And it also produced one of the most classic Slam magazine covers that had the whole draft, most of the draft class on there. Oh, how could I forget about Steve Nash too? Since we're talking about his NBA life, we also got to put out there that initially Kobe wasn't a starter. Kobe was coming off the bench because before he got there, they had Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel. Obviously, Kobe was playing the shoot guard spot. They already had somebody there, and Eddie Jones, who was highly slept on and deserved his flowers and roses for what he contributed. At the time, Dale Harris was the coach. And you know what? There was a good young team, but the Lakers wasn't clicking. 97, especially in '97 when Kobe shot the 4 air balls. He just kept shooting. People was downing him. People was saying that he's just a gunner. He doesn't understand the aspect of team ball. They were saying he doesn't understand the aspect of it at the time being Shaq's team. Kobe stated plenty of times that he came into the league to be the man, not to be nobody's sidekick, not to be nobody's little brother. Might have been the immaturity at the time when he was talking, 18-year-old kid. A lot of us really ain't mature at that age. No, hell, I wasn't. That's just, saying that. Man. First off, before I continue on with the episode, I really want to give a shout out and thanks to All-in-One Barber and Beauty, my hometown, my city, Erie, PA, 1029 East Ave. Shout outs to my cousin Darren, shout outs to Chosey, and all the other barbers that's up in there. Also want to give a shout out to Dotigan Clothing, 1150 West 26th Street. That's also in Erie, PA. But now we're going to get back to what we came to get back to. Now, talking about his NBA life, we'll be honest. He had got a bad rap for not being the best teammate. He was a little, they said he was standoffish, said he was antisocial, whatever the case may be. That's everybody's opinion. At that time, I'm pretty sure people's opinion probably changed about him as his career started going on. But man, it was a good career. It was a good career. But we not done. I'm gonna throw out some more highlights. He was the first guard in NBA history to play 20 seasons. Just wanted to throw that out there. But since I know I'm probably bouncing around a little bit, I'm just really excited to do this episode. It's my second episode that I'm putting out there, and it just happened to be that I'm doing this episode about somebody who I basically looked up to in the basketball world and who I basically try to mimic from time to time. I call him the Bridge, and you're going to see why I call him the Bridge. But, like I was stating, that Lakers team really wasn't clicking. Kobe wasn't understanding that at the time. He was a very good player, but he needed to be a very good team player, if any of that makes sense. I know it do. The 90s falling off, it was basically the exit of Jordan. That's what everybody was focused on, the exit of Jordan, and basically who was going to be the next guy, who was going to be the one to fill the void, to fill the shoes. You still had Grant Hill around. You still had Penny Hardaway around. But it was just something about this kid by the name of Kobe Bryant. I think he mimicked Jordan and looked up to him the most. Now we're going to fast forward into the 2000s. They're finally clicking. Going on all cylinders. Everything's a go. But there's a very, very, very good Portland team that's ahead of them. I ain't going to say ahead of them, but that Portland team gave them all that smoke. That Portland team at the time had Rasheed Wallace, had Damon Stoudemire, Brian Grant, and Scottie Pippen. I believe that series went to game 7, but the most iconic moment was when Kobe dribbled down the court and then he threw the alley-oop to Shaq. That right there showed more of the changing of the times. Like, man, if these dudes really work together, if they put all the differences and all the bullshit and all the fighting to the side, Shaq and Kobe was a lethal force. And it was about time that they understood that. And with Phil Jackson coming in, who already coming off of 6 rings with the Bulls, knew how to manage personalities. Dennis Rodman, his prime example. So we in the 2000s. Now they're going up against the Indiana Pacers, which was a good team. Reggie Miller, Rick Smits, who slept on. I believe Chris Mullin was still there, and Jalen Rose. We're going to get to Jalen Rose and Kobe's relationship later on. But long story short, we know how it played out. they wound up winning their very first championship together. Shaq's place was solidified. He was MVP that year. He was putting up crazy numbers. Kobe was doing what he had to do. Even when Shaq fouled out, Kobe came through, and he showed why he can carry a team. He showed why, if he was to put his selfishness and his immaturity to the side, that all of this could work out. Fast forward a year later, we in 2001, which everybody is regarding, which I'm regarding as the year of Allen Iverson. He was just the man in 01. Fine. What more can you say? All-Star game MVP and regular season MVP. But also on the west side of things, you had the Lakers that was just bulldozing and going through, stepping over and stepping through and across everybody. Going into those playoffs, all the rounds, leading all the way up to the finals, they swept all of their opponents. At that time, that was basically unheard of. I don't think anybody did it since. The only loss that they suffered from was the historical game, one of the most legendary games that AI put on. He scored 48 points in the game one in the finals against the Lakers in the Staples Center with the very disrespectful step over Tyronn Lue. That's played over and over again, and I hope that winds up getting more famous than his practice rant, but not on AI right now. We're talking about Kobe. So now, going into the two-peat, they got 2 rings. Fast forward to 2002. They go up against the New Jersey Nets. Had a real good team being led by Jason Kidd, but it wasn't good enough and it wasn't strong enough for Shaq and Kobe as they three-peat. I think they was the first team, matter of fact, they was the first team to three-peat since Jordan and the Bulls. Now we fast forward, I'm gonna jump 2 years ahead to 2004. Basically where the Lakers debacle and everything just basically fell apart. For different reasons. You can't really necessarily put it all on Kobe, but some of the blame is on him. They tried to create a super team by bringing in an old-ass Karl Malone and a Gary Payton that still had something left in the tank. They was bulldozing, going through everything through the whole season. It just what it was. But see, you could form a super team, anything and everything. It could probably look good on paper, but when it comes down to it, everybody ain't gelling, everybody ain't working. And it was just for different reasons. You had Karl Malone that was hitting on Kobe's wife. You had around that time, Kobe had the rape case, the rape, allegation, sexual assault. And it was just bad all around. And they wound up making it to the finals, going up against Detroit. Even with all that drama and stuff, the fight between him and Shaq and all of this other stuff, they still wound up managing and making it to the finals. But with all of that, they still lost. They still lost because they weren't clicking. They weren't on the same page. It was a lot of questionable stuff being said and being done in the media, which I'm going to get to that. Man, thank y'all so much for watching. Like I said, I'm taking a little break right now. We're basically doing some more adding and plugging. Please like, subscribe, and share to my YouTube channel, The Very Blunt Sports Podcast. I want to thank everybody for making the first episode an success. Just thank y'all, period. So now, after all of that debacle, after all of that went down, a trade was in play between the Lakers and the Miami Heat. Because basically, Kobe said it himself, he wanted Shaq gone. He felt Shaq was in his way. He felt Shaq was, in a way, dulling his blade personally and professionally. So he flexed his star muscle and he got Shaq up out of there. I think they got Brian Grant, Smush Parker, and Lamar Odom. Please check my facts if I'm wrong. I admit that I'm wrong. If I'm right, then we'll just leave it at that. But I'm pretty sure it was more that was added on to that. But that's what it was. Those years, Kobe was somewhat on the downslide as far as a team that he was trying to put together and gel with and mesh with, because he was really out to prove that he could do and build a team on his own and not necessarily have Shaq. He wanted, I ain't gonna say on his own, but he wanted a team more revolved around him. That's the thing. He wanted to be the centerpiece. He wanted to know without a shadow of doubt that the ball is going in his hand and there ain't shit that nobody can do about it. Wound up having some real strong showings. Wound up bouncing back. In 2008, actually, he got the MVP. Now, a lot of people will say maybe that year it should have went to Chris Paul. Maybe, maybe not. But I also put this out there. There was other years that I felt that Kobe was robbed out of the MVP. Not just because I'm a fan, but also if you look at the numbers. Some of that, he was robbed. Just wanted to put that out there. Man, you know, as time went on, speaking of 08, time went on. Now, they're back in the finals. Kobe has a nice solid team that he feel that he could make a run. He could finally grab that ring outside of Shaq, because in 2006, Shaq wound up getting a ring with Dwayne Wade, and I'm pretty sure that it made Kobe feel some type of way, because he wanted to get a ring before Shaq. This is just the competitive nature in him. You could say that, you could chalk that up to that, or you could just say flat out he was being petty. But at the end of the day, he had a goal in mind, and that's what I always got to respect about him. And that's what us as basketball fans and worldly fans should respect about somebody, that they won't quit, that they won't give up no matter what anybody says about them. So they're in the finals, and they're going against basically the Lakers' known nemesis, whatever you want to call it, historical rival, dating all the way back to the 60s, probably even earlier than that when there was the Minneapolis Lakers. But they're going up against the Boston Celtics and that Boston three-party that had KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. It was good showing, but it just wasn't enough as Boston went on and took that championship. Fast forward the next year, you got 2009, where he's going up against the Orlando Magic. That Magic team was led by Dwight Howard and Jameer Nelson. As a matter of fact, it wasn't in that finals, but Kobe produced one of the most disrespectful dunks ever. Just, you got to go ahead and watch that, like, because as men, like, I could appreciate, I can't appreciate, I could accept getting dunked on, but I can't accept your nuts in my face. That's just what it is. So they went up against the Orlando Magic, wound up getting that championship. He wound up getting that fourth ring. That fourth ring really solidified it. I think that first ring that he got without Shaq probably meant more than the three that he won with Shaq, because he was out to prove something. He really was. Now the next year, we got a final rematch from 2 years ago. In 2010, the Lakers went 7 games with the same Boston three-party, Rajon Rondo, and they wound up getting the championship, which was the 16th NBA championship in Lakers history. What did he say at the press interview when he was holding his daughter? I think he said, "Oh yeah, that's one more than Shaq." So that just shows you the drive and the competitiveness that he had, and the bitterness, maybe the pettiness and the vindictiveness that he had towards Shaq. Either way, you still had to love what he said. Now, after that, Lakers made the playoffs a couple times. Really wasn't, back to the championship glory as injuries and everything, was taking a hold of him. Achilles injuries, and plus the fact that he was getting older. Playing 20 seasons, it wears and tears on your body, as we're starting to see Father Time kicking in with LeBron James. I know some of y'all don't think that it's a shot, but come on, he's been playing 20 years, and he's getting older. Everybody gets older except the fat. Thank y'all. Just excited again about this second episode. But like I was saying, never really got back to the championship glory, but that didn't stop him from still being the star, elite player that he was. Sometimes pain in the ass. He had different ways, basically adapted Jordan ways of motivating his teammates. Call him an asshole, call him whatever you want. He knew what it took to get there. Most of those dudes at the time didn't understand it. But since we're talking about these Laker teams, and I did mention the fact that 04 team, that super team that they tried to put together really was a bust. Shout outs to the Pistons. But that wasn't the only basically fictional super team that Kobe was a part of that looked good on paper. I mean, Kwame Brown was supposed to be at that time. I don't know. I don't want Kwame to say shit about me, but he was a bust. Fuck you. Oh well, if you see this. But he had Dwight Howard. He had Steve Nash. And he had, the thing about having Steve Nash, we wanted to see the old Steve Nash, the Dallas and the Phoenix years, but what we got was old Steve Nash, if that makes sense. And at the time, Dwight wasn't, and he said this, Dwight Howard wasn't mentally ready for that. He wasn't mentally ready to take on that more role and more responsibility and more spotlight that being a Laker and being in LA period has. Those are just some of the on court basketball basically related terms or whatever of Kobe. Yeah, we here to celebrate his life. We here to celebrate his accomplishments, but we also got to talk about, be real and be blunt about his downsides on and off the court. On the court, like I said, shooting those 4 air balls, being known as a gunner, being known as a butch, wherever you from, however you want to put it, he just wasn't passing the ball. He would shoot. They were saying at the time Kobe ain't never shot a shot that he didn't like, or shoot a shot, or however they put it. But basically, every time he touched the ball, you could kind of guarantee that he was going to shoot. That was the reputation that he had. Off the court, yeah, they said he was antisocial, didn't get along with people, really distanced himself from his teammates. He just honestly felt, in his mind, not saying that as an excuse, but in his mind, he felt that I'm here to do a job. This really ain't no popularity contest. I'm here to drop 40 points. I don't give a fuck if you people boo or cheer me. This is my job. I came here to win. There ain't no I in team, but there is an I in win. Now, a lot of people probably won't like the fact that I'm going to talk a little bit about the sexual assault or rape case, however they worded it, even though it was settled out of court, you know what I'm saying, because it turns out, that the little whore was lying. Yeah, I called her a whore. I don't know who she is. And quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. But the little whore was lying because overall, she was just nasty. You know what I'm saying? And I know the women could probably say, and probably some men could say that, he probably shouldn't have put himself in that situation or whatever, to cheat or whatever. And this ain't no excuse, but sometimes men will be men. Ladies, rather, if you want to, hear it or not, we matured y'all mature faster than we do. In the words of Jadakiss, why did Kobe have to hit that raw? Why he kissed that whore? But the one thing I didn't like during that duration of the case, I always felt like this. If you get caught doing something, you get caught with something, you own that shit, and you don't throw nobody under the bus. You don't bring nobody down with you just because you feeling down. And in that segment of what I'm saying is when he got on TV and he said, well, nobody is saying nothing about none of the women that Shaq is paying off. Kobe, bruh, for real, bruh. In the words of Cedric the Entertainer, like, hold on, dog. You just gonna do this shit while my wife here? Not a good look, Kobe. You broke a lot of codes and a lot of laws with that bro code, man law, whatever the case may be. Thou shalt not snitch on another man that's cheating on his wife, whatever the fuck the case may be. You should have just mind your business. And why just pick on Shaq? I'm pretty sure there was a lot of NBA players that was giving these bitches hush money, like, don't say nothing or whatever, you know, my prenup and all of this other shit. But in the conference that he held where he proclaimed his innocence, where he said that he ain't take nothing. He ain't scrape, rape, force, freak by choice, not force. That's what it's gonna be. In the words of Ice Cube, in Lil Jon's album, last track, the grand finale, just very bluntly said it, Kobe ain't take that pussy. And it was proven that he didn't. But it was still a low light for him to throw Shaq up under the bus. But that wasn't the only, you could say, low light of Kobe. He had a rap album. Shit. Spoiler alert for a future episode, I will be doing athletes that tried to get into music. And spoiler alert, Kobe is on the list of one of the rappers that tried to get into music, and yeah, it just didn't work out for him. I think he tried to rap in Italian, just trying to rap, period. It wasn't a good look, Kobe. That definitely was not a good look to try to make a rap album. But you gotta understand, it was 2000. It was the times, I guess. I don't know why he tried, but we're not gonna, stay on the negativity for too long. I want to put it out there. January 26, 2006. I think that's when anybody that ever doubted, anybody that ever said anything negative or bad about him, on that date, he showed what he can do. He showed why he's the man, dropping 81 points on the Toronto Raptors. Everything about his game, everything that he did was just flawless. From the beginning of the game to the end of the game. That was his game. He controlled that game. He did whatever he wanted. Every time he put the ball up, it was like that hoop was about as big as Lake Erie. He couldn't miss. He was going all the way in. They had no answer for him. None at all. Want to put it out there that he is the Lakers' all-time leading scorer. Spent 20 years there. You know what's rare? You don't see that in no sport, period, where a player stays with the same team throughout his whole career. Some of your greats didn't even do that. Michael Jordan didn't do that. Allen Iverson didn't do that. And then if you jump over into football, currently right now, Tom Brady is with another team after so many years. Peyton Manning did it. But to stay in one spot and to be beloved in one spot, that's rare. And quite frankly, I don't see that happening no time soon in today's NBA landscape because it's always so much bouncing around. What Kobe and the Lakers did, I don't think we'll really see another three-peat. I don't think so because of how much change around and how much everything is doing. I don't see another three-peat. But going on to some of his higher highlights, fast forwarding, we're definitely about to get into the retirement game. First and foremost, I just want to say, Kobe set the bar. To me, he set the bar as far as in basketball, how you really should retire. If you can't retire winning the championship ring, winning the championship, you want to retire like how Kobe retired. He got an all full-fledged red carpet pulled out for him when they knew that it was going to be his last year. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. Everybody wanted to watch every single game. Everybody wanted to get an autographed jersey. Everybody just wanted to be there, wherever city that they were at, just to say that I watched the last time that Kobe Bryant played against my team, wherever you was at in the world. You wanted to share that experience because you knew, regardless of what you said about him, if you was on the opposite team, you had to respect that man. You had the respect of what he brought to basketball and being the game changer that he was for the early 2000s. Speaking of the retirement game, going on about it, April 13th, 2016. What more can you say about that game? I mean, the very last game of Kobe Bryant's career in the Staples Center. It brought the stars out. For real. It really brought the stars out, from Mark Wahlberg to Arnold Schwarzenegger to Jay-Z to Snoop Dogg and E40. Jay-Z actually has that game-winning ball. If he was smart, he would hold on to that for a long-ass time. Because to me, that got good sentimental value to it. You could hold on to that and say that you was there. But in that game on August 13, 2016, against the Utah Jazz, dropped 60 on him. He dropped a 60 piece. Kobe said, well, actually not Kobe, Shaq said to Kobe, I want you to go out on your last game and get 50. Shaq said he turned around and the motherfucker got 60. Going above and beyond. That's just the being. That's just Kobe. Couple stats I wanted to put out there. Scored 15 of the final 17 points. Outscored the opponent by itself 23 to 21, excuse me, in the fourth quarter alone. I'm just excited to do this and talk about this. And the Lakers went on to the victory, wound up taking the game 101 to 96. We knew that was the last game that we was going to see him, man. And for the crowd to keep yelling, shoot the ball, that was encouraging him to get more, to get his, because they knew that it was going to be Mamba out as far as the basketball court. But unfortunately, you would have thought that after his basketball career ended, you wouldn't think that his life would have ended. But before we jump ahead to that, after his playing career, Kobe went along to do a lot of different things, a lot of great things. He was basically an advocate, an ambassador for the WNBA, basically for women's sports. He wanted his daughter, Gianna. She was probably the most, from what I read, that picked up the game of basketball like him so much to the point where her nickname was Mambacita. You know what I'm saying? In that in that span of his life after his playing career, he made children's books. He was just happy to be a dad, to be a family man, and not basically give in to the temptations of wanting to come back after he retired with style and grace. After he went out like how every player should want to go out, it was also somewhat mimicked by Dwayne Wade and how he wound up retiring. It was so much that even Draymond Green said to Paul Pierce on his little farewell tour, "You just mad because you ain't getting that Kobe love and you'll never be Kobe." Damn. Sad but true. But tough to talk about this one for real. Who would have thought that basically 4 years after his retirement, that we would, have this unfortunate incident. But I also wanted to throw this out there. The day that he dropped 81 points on the Toronto Raptors was actually 14 years. From 14 years and 4 days from his death, ahead of time in his death. Real sad to think about it, but on January 26, 2020, Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter, 6 friends, and a pilot unfortunately passed away in a plane crash. Before I go on, I just want to say this. Even though the world acknowledged and was in grieving of the Kobe passing and the passing of his daughter, we also can't forget the other people that was on the flight too. They may not have been celebrities, but they were celebrities in somebody's eyes. They may not have been important in you, but they was important in somebody's eyes. That was somebody's dad on that plane, somebody's uncle, somebody's niece, somebody's daughter, somebody's granddaughter, somebody's grandson, the ripple effect. I'm saying all of that to say this. Even though I'm here and I'm saying that we're here in this Kobe Day, August 24th, we also can't forget about the people that also passed along with him. Yeah, the basketball world mourned of Kobe and his daughter, but we can't forget about the other people that lost their lives in that plane crash. My condolences is to their family. Now, at the star-studded funeral in the Staples Center in LA, of course, his wife, Vanessa, was there and gave a speech. Michael Jordan, Shaq, and Diana Taurasi, who was basically called the Kobe of the WNBA. They said their piece, they made their piece, gave personal experiences, gave him a good sending home present. Him and his daughter. It was very fitting. Man. But, really no but as we go on, even though we're here, and I just stated, the facts of his death and things like that, we still here to celebrate a career. A man that he got his roses before he died. He got to sit down and iron out his differences with Shaq. He made peace. They made peace with each other. They put all the dumb shit and all the petty shit to the side, and they did what they had to do as grown men. Time does heal all wounds, especially if you let time and maturity get a hold of you in the good way. But like I said, we're here to celebrate with some of the closings. Kobe was NBA All-Rookie Second Team in 1997. Also in that year in 97, he was the slam dunk winner. Scoring champion in 2006 and 2007. 9-time NBA All-Defensive First Team. 3-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team. 11-time All-NBA First Team. 2-time All-NBA Second Team. 2-time All-NBA Third Team. 18-time All-Star. 4-time NBA All-Star. NBA MVP of the 2008 season. 5-time NBA champion. And a 2-time NBA Finals MVP, excuse me. Kobe Bryant is the only player, not just in Laker history, but in basketball history. Basketball, to have number 8 and number 24 retired. Talk about setting the bar high. Don't see nobody else really doing that. Not in my lifetime. And that's just being honest with you. Olympic gold medal winner in 2008 and in 2012, a FIBA American Championship winner in 2007, and in 2018 he won an Oscar. He won an Oscar for a short film called Dear Basketball. You know, before I got on here, I had read something called Dear Kobe. It was a letter that Allen Iverson wrote to Kobe. And he was basically saying how he pushed him, how he admired him, and how his passing and everything won't go in vain. If you look at it right now, even though he's gone, Kobe is still in the league with the people that he took time to train and give tips to and work out with over the summer. Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Oh shit, I said that name right for the first time ever in my life. I can't do it again. Nah, I ain't gonna try.